My name is Shadowringa, but most people know me as Luna Hylien here in the world of VRChat. If you don't know what VRChat is, it's an online virtual world platform that can be accessed through a VR headset or on a desktop. Most VRChat users use the platform to explore VR worlds, play games, and hang out with friends. But here, it's on a whole other level. These damn elevators. 1 second, please. There we go. Gosh darn it, now I lost my track of thought. Oh yeah, you might be wondering where I am. Well, this world, and many others I'll be sneakily searching through today, is the world of Neon Divide, a VR science fiction and cyberpunk-themed roleplay community that is set on the planet Hellion. Here, in Sanctuary City, it's either you accept the corporation's control over everything, or not, and have to survive the many threats that are both inside and outside this city. I want these people's stories, the heroes, the survivalists. Oh, and I hope those corporation scum don't find out what I'm doing. Let's do this. Thank you so much for coming out here. Can we get your name and your character name, please?
Leroy, and character name is Elwin Kiefer, owner of the hotel.
I'm Elixif. I play Miko, NPC, lost dog girl of the Undercity.
Hi, I'm Catbuck. I play Wisp in Neon Divide. I am a 50-year-old icy grandma from the start of magic who was imprisoned in ice for a very long time and came back and started a whole new family here in the Undercity.
I'm Willixer. I am now the primary map DM for the or GM for the Wasteland map of the Neon Divide roleplay. I don't technically have a character, but I do act as several recurring NPCs. The one that I am right now is my recurring NPC Tesh.
So can you go into this, your story and your overall experience here on Neon Divide?
My story with Neon Divide was I started off as the viewer. I will usually follow a lot of different perspective of characters. Around episode 5 or 6, there was an announcement for a character wave, second character wave. It was a last minute decision, and I decided, screw it, I'll make a character, see if I'll get in. Luckily I did, and it was on my very first day, near the end of the episode. I ended up going to the Dirty Diamond, which is a bar of sorts, and I got shot by another player character on my first day due to looking like someone else who was an NPC. So that was fun. And when I got shot, my immediate reaction was to immediately go down and die. But that was my extra NPC brain going, wait, I'm a character. I don't die right away. So I had to start acting injured and whatnot. They took me to medical and was luckily able to be fine. From then on, I had Elwin focus more on being anti-corp. He hates all the corporations, specifically Valkyrie the most. Near the end, or at the very last episode of season 2, Elwyn has been hearing about this group called Reunion. He's been hearing hints of that throughout the season, and he finally confronted someone, and they set him up with a meeting with a character named Locke. And then the meeting actually happened right here at the hotel. And it was Elwyn wanting to join because he's been hearing them being straight anti-corp and not dealing with the corpse and wanting to take the corpse out of power. There was a conversation that happened with Locke, and in the end, Locke gave him a decision to join, but he's going to have to be throwing away all of his friends, all of his relationships. Those people that he wouldn't be able to see ever again, and he had to think about that. I think I spent the rest of the session thinking about it, and not until 30 minutes before the end of the session, I found Locke again and told Elwyn that he was in. And that was my setup for season 3. So coming season 3, we'll see what happens with that.
So for the story of Nico, she was intended to be a story from Spatula's character's backstory, Nia, and she was supposed to come down here and find her lost girlfriend. Essentially, the idea was to show that character what they had lost and reconnect them with the sort of history and the trauma of their own backstory, and cause a bit of a dilemma for the characters here about what they should do. The problem was that in roleplay, anything can happen. And the instructions I was given by the DMs were wander around for 2 hours, ask about this person. Which of course meant that all the player characters went into a panic because they were thinking that someone was hunting Nia. But what was intended to be a 1 or 2 episode storyline became much longer and much more involved, because at that point, the character whose backstory I was from, Nia, is in hiding. I haven't been able to find her, so I haven't been able to complete my instructions from the DM. But I've been rescued by 2 other player characters and been involved in their story now organically. And that sort of continued on with the character. And eventually they rescued her and they freed her, and she became, part of a family down here in the Undercity and went on her own adventures and impacted the storylines of lots of other characters that she met along the way.
I came in season 1, toward the end. I played Shay Lotre, the first ever tailor in the row. Upon season 2, I decided I wanted to join up with some of my friends. I'm good friends with Kieran Sketchu. They're fantastic people, and we all became mushrooms together. I was like, yeah, mushroom gang. So I created Wisp. She took a bit to figure out exactly what we wanted there, but throughout the season, at first it was a little slow, because that's how it is. You start meeting people, you start finding out about, there's this plot line over here, there's this tinge of evidence that something's happening there. You're trying to figure out where your character belongs, or or who they belong with. I was never a theater kid. I got into this in college, actually, so it was a weird experience to start out. I had weird beginnings, but going entirely through Neon Divide from first season to this season, it's really helped me with my improv and meeting fantastic new people who I love being around, because it goes from not just what's on this side, but you make friends for a long time. I've met a lot of people.
And out on a mission one day with his team, they experienced technical malfunctions and their ship crashed out in the unmapped deserts. And some of them survived, some of them didn't, but whatever the case, whatever happened, Tesh ultimately was left to fend for himself in the wastes, making the long 4-month trek back from his crash site to the city. When he got back, he had a distinct lack of social skills and a much increased appreciation for the ecology of the wasteland, and all of the creatures that reside in it. And so he's become something of a survivalist expert here around Scraptown. As for the other NPCs that I may play, I occasionally pick up roles for some of the wasteland monsters. I may be a sandworm. I may be a tiny little crab. But the most frequent monster that I portray is one of our characters, Sheila, the shaman of Scraptown, befriended and kind of pseudo-tamed a giant scorpion, and it's now very friendly towards her and towards most of the people in Scraptown. So I wasn't part of Neon Divide for the season 1, where everything started and like the foundations of stories were created. But prior to season 2, I was actually contacted by one of the art direction devs, Sketchu. Sketchu actually invited me to the Neon Divide team to help create monsters for the Wasteland specifically. As season 2 progressed, I started as effectively just an extra, and then it became clear that since we had other extras who didn't know how to use the models that I had made, that it was going to be most appropriate for me to guide other people in how to use my avatars. And so I became something of an extra wrangler.
You mentioned the DM tools. Can you go elaborate a little bit more on that? Like, what is the powers of a DM?
So as a GM, I will have a specific avatar that can go invisible. I can make things dark around players. I can roll a dice rolling system on the avatar, and that specific avatar is custom made for the purposes of ensuring that we're able to interact with players without breaking their immersion. So I can be invisible, I can hover next to someone, I can just roll a dice for them that only I can see, and then I can tell them the roll, and it's only minor interruption to character interactions.
What does the community bring to the roleplay of Neon Divide?
Most of the community that I've seen has been, I've seen amazing different artworks of characters or scenarios that happen in the roleplay. I've seen some people create entire theme songs or song tracks to specific characters or corporations. I myself actually did my own little video editing with, like I said earlier, with the clips from the Twitch streams, as well as my own little meme video that I would post every episode that would come up for the rest of season 2.
Even if you're very experienced as a role player, you'll always get a little bit of tingle just before you go in, because you're going to be performing for a lot of people, and you're performing for the other players who are around you. And the pressure for extras and NPCs is, in some regards, quite enhanced, because for us, we are there to help facilitate the stories of the players. And at the end of a session, once we have, successfully, or maybe sometimes not so successfully, managed to pull off the story weaves and storylines that we wanted to, and you're in the end of session, you just get to relax with people. You get to celebrate, like, wasn't that a great scene? That was so great that we did. And that sort of community aspect of the bits before the session and the bits after the session, where you're there for each other, it's so important. It's really critical. For me personally, some of the scenes that I was doing as Nico became quite intense and quite sad. And anyone who's ever done theater or anything like that will know that when you are feeling the emotions of your character and you are crying or you're upset, that those things will sort of affect you. And after a session, having people there to just, be there with you as a community is super, super important.
I love the community a lot. They bring a lot of stuff. One of the things that I go around to is some of our community has even made a fan RP where they come into these maps that we have released out to the public, and they hang out in them or create their own characters and their new spins on the world as it could be. And I've joined into that. It's a lot of fun. Some of our fans even became a part of our teams with building some of the sound, some of the assets, the websites, the wikis. They're amazing. God, I can't talk. I can't talk enough about them. Some of them come out to become NPCs with us, and they work fantastic on set. A lot of them, we could not function without NPCs. We would not have anywhere near what we have now if we didn't have the lovely community nor the NPCs that help us out. Sure, we'd have a bunch of player characters, but nothing drives the story more than the NPCs and the DMs and everyone behind the scenes.
Neon Divide would be nothing without the people who watch it, because ultimately this is not just an experience for the players. This is an experience to watch. This is a show. Yeah, like having the players interact with each other and interact with the GMs and the stories in ways that build it into what it is, and Neon Divide wouldn't be what it is without the community that watches these streams.
Lastly, what are you looking forward to for season 3 of Neon Divide?
The thing I'm most excited for is the crafting system that's been worked on and developed, as well as just specifically seeing what the new characters and stories they bring for the recurring characters that are coming back from season 2, as well as how those stories will fluctuate with us as well as the other role players as well.
I'm just excited to be able to revisit the world. I love the Air District here. This is one of my favorite places. And being able to walk down here in character and visit, get a parfait from the ice cream shop. Just small things about being able to live in the world. Until we're in session, the world doesn't really exist.
I'm hoping to meet a lot more characters and get a lot more involved with everything going on, and I just really look forward to where we can go from here now that things are different.
When I started jamming for the Wasteland in season 2, I was not expecting at all, to any degree, to get as involved and invested in all of these characters as I have. You can bet that I am thrilled to see how characters are going to interact with the stories that I have the privilege of presenting to them for this coming season.
Miss Luna,
Mr. Myth.
I notice you've been going to places you don't belong. And I will very much like to know where.